Alright, am I recording? Okay, cool. Alright, so welcome back. This is part 3 of the Wolverine. And there's some things I noticed right off the bat I don't like. For example, I told you before I didn't like the way his blades look. Also, his eyes are way too big. And so I need to bring his eyes more, into this area here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the opacity down way on this level here. If I can kind of see where the eyes should have been. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to color it all in black. Now I'm going to, excuse me. Sorry about that. Wrong tube complications. When I set my 8 or something down the wrong tube. Okay, so I kind of want just to have part of the eyes there like that. Maybe that'll work. So, right, and then I need to bring it back smaller. Just don't want the eyes that big. It's still late. I don't know why. It just looks so huge. Let's see here, white. Just kind of bring this down. Maybe that's right. A little bit better. Right, so now I need to really bring this part right here out. So I think it comes out way over here more. And up here. Let's see. Sometimes when you draw a line and then like erase part of it, it can actually look sharper and cooler than if you just try to make it the first time with the actual pen. Let's see here. I'm almost wondering if that's too high for that one. Maybe a little bit, so I can just cut it down just a bit. Yes, because this part here wraps almost all the way around his head, so I think I need to even come out a little bit wider with that piece. That'll probably look cooler. Okay, so he's getting there. All right. Also, there's another thing I noticed. I have to remember that black stripe will come around back there. It does come across his shoulder a little bit, and then I'll be able to see part of it here across his chest like that. So I want it to make sure you match everything up. Now, from what I can tell, his stripes go all the way around to his back and to his front, and one is right across his lower chest and abdominal area. I'm not really going to pay attention so much to I'm going to pay attention to the shape of his body, so I'm wrapping it around, and I'm using this opportunity also to show the shape of the three-dimensional shape. Always when you're designing a character, design the character so that when you add the shapes, like in this case, it can like define certain parts of the body, like gloves help define certain parts of the body, and like an armband like across his arm here could help define part of his body, for example. So when you're designing a character, keep that in mind, that you could help define three-dimensional form by where you place stripes and things like that. And sometimes when you're designing a costume, you simply put it there for that reason alone, is that you want to be able to define form. And that might be the only reason why you add a certain part of a costume. So I'm going to kind of keep his muscles here a little bit, rough looking. Also, I don't know if I like the old geeky way that Wolverine had his pants, like they, sure, I guess it was like when they designed it in the 60s and stuff, they wore their pants high like that, but now, dudes are typically wearing their pants, short, like lowrider pants more, and the girls too, so I'm thinking we ought to give Wolverine a little update, make him more sexy and cool and hip and modern, and say to hell with that, we're going to give him lowrider belt, man. So he's going to have this thin, more lowrider belt here. And we'll maybe even give him an X-Men belt. And I'm thinking maybe we can give it like some coolness like that. And then he's just going to have this really thin part here, the thin underwear part, that will be blue. And I'm thinking that looks much cooler than how he's typically drawn, so okay. Then I have to remember that his boots kind of have these flares that come up like that. And I'm going to kind of add my own design here a little bit. And again, erasing the line after you draw it, sometimes you can get a nice sharper line that way. So just keep that technique in mind. Like if I kind of draw that all thick, and then I come back into my eraser and make it all thinner right there. So right now I'm just kind of drawing the boot as it would be, and then I'm going to kind of come up and then come down for his stripe that comes down the center here, this black stripe. Trying to get the lines right. And the boot ankle part there, a couple wrinkles maybe to also define the form. Notice like that hook ring there, that's part of defining the foot form, so I kind of define a little bit with the wrinkles that come into the boot. I'm going to have that part come, and then he's going to kind of go like that. So the stripe, I'm going to kind of offset the stripe here to show there was a wrinkle. Looks like the stripe runs all the way down his foot. I'm going to have it get bigger as it comes toward us, though. Even though technically it might be the same width all the way down his foot, I'm doing forced perspective, so I make it get wider as it comes toward us, also to give the foot more form. Maybe have a few more wrinkles in here like that to define the foot. I think as I'm gonna color this in on pause. Right, so he's coming along. You know, and the hardest part for me sometimes when drawing the figure, the male figure, is knees and not knees. What am I trying to think? It's the whole form of the body, I guess. Like the male figure, it's just the legs are probably one. I don't know why they're the hardest part. They're just hard. And I think they're hard because it's hard to imagine, you know, how the legs look from every angle. How do the muscles twist and everything? And I know like the muscle, there's one muscle that kind of attaches more to the inside, and so the front you only see part of it. Then you have this muscle here that kind of twists and attaches over here, and then you kind of have part of this muscle here that kind of attaches as well. And I was thinking about, you know, doing that kind of shading, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna I think I'll shade with color only. And then this knee will come like that, and I gotta remember how his from the side, I think his comes way up like this from the side view. No, I think he has more like, comes down more like this, more like boots. Almost girly kind of looking. Kind of defined with some wrinkles there. Something like that. Okay, so part of his knee, I think you might be able to see through the boot. That will be yellow. And then I think, you know, you might be able to see part, because the tips are black, and you might be able to see part of the back stripe, because there's a front stripe and a back stripe. I'm thinking I might be able to see more of the back stripe though, because I'm looking more at the inside of his leg. All things you have to think about, you know, when you're drawing. There's, you know, really a lot to think about when you think about it. There's a lot to think about in drawing. I'm going to give him that really big muscle, kind of that big muscle there as it comes up, and then I might be able to see part of this line here. The inside of the leg, I might be able to see some of this line coming down like that. That muscle will be shaped kind of like that, and then I might want to add this part of this muscle would come, and I'd be able to see a little bit of that muscle, I think, like that. I think that's all the detail I want to add for the leg there. 9 minutes. I really want to try to finish this up, at least finish the inking up, hopefully. I wanted to try to do the colors and everything in this one part, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. So I'm just going to kind of do the, I think they're like little metal things, I'm not really sure. I think like that, and they kind of open up, and then the blades come out of that. I really got to think how I want the blades to look too, because that's sometimes the coolest part, and I really want them to look neat. So I think I'm going to kind of give them almost this claw-like look. And that one is going to be kind of back there, not really as visible. And I don't know if I want to do any of the, yeah, I don't think I will. Any of the actual shading with the black. I mean, I could like do little, the lines, some couple lines in there. But I think I'm going to reserve it for mainly coloring, so that kind of hints and shows that they're metal. He has his knuckles and the lines coming between his knuckles. His finger here, the knuckle. Really want to exaggerate that, and then the thumb coming back behind there. So he's looking pretty cool. He's looking pretty tough, pretty mean for Wolverine. I'm really liking the pose. I think it came out nice. Like I said, that's the hardest part is, figuring out that pose. It's pretty difficult to come up with that. So I got to think about how his gloves will look on this side. I think it's just going to be pretty much a little bit bigger than his hand, not much like that. I really want to emphasize that muscle there. Make up some lines that really wouldn't be there, but it doesn't really matter because it looks cool. Might want to add a little bit of, a couple like wrinkle lines and stuff in the gloves, kind of make it look like they're gloves. And also maybe like lines in the fingers. I'm going to kind of have those fingers come off like that. I want to be able to see part of the, tips of the fingers there. They're all going to be kind of coming to a tip like that, and then sort of come out like that. I think that looks pretty cool and tough. So then just need to draw part of the under part of the blade, and then the middle one. And notice I do those in one clean stroke, so it looks nice and clean. Right, so there he is. There's Wolverine in his cool, awesome glory. I don't know if I'm doing him justice, but I'm trying. And then you want to think about some parts where maybe some lines could be thicker, and think about your light source and everything. I'm kind of my light source is coming from this direction, kind of from the top, so I'm thinking about that right now also. And I was also kind of thinking about as I was doing it too, because I knew there were certain parts that needed to have thicker lines, and so I did think about it. But there's other parts I might want to go back and strengthen now. Add some thick borders here and there some places so it looks cooler. Add some thick lines under there, and I think this part's just about up, and then I can start coloring. So let's check him out. He looks pretty cool. He's short. Got to keep in mind Wolverine is rather short for a superhero, and so I wanted to make sure I conveyed that shortness too, so I kept that in mind as I was doing the proportions in the beginning. I forgot to mention that. And I really like how this arm's really coming out, meeting this here, and this whole shape, this C shape and everything, and then this really exaggerated. That foot's coming out, that arm's coming out, blades. That's pretty cool looking. He looks pretty tough, I think. So, alright, we'll come back and color it then.